All right, we are back in the booth on Sunday afternoon. I had already done one video in my other shop with a new spray booth that I'd gotten, but it's storming so bad I couldn't hardly talk with the rain hitting the metal roof, so I came back into the other shop to do the video. We're going to do a grenade from Alternative Lures in a grape jelly color shift crawl. This is one I've been wanting to do. I really like the color. So what I've already done is I've already put a coat of House of Color solvent base white base coat over the bait twice. I've gotten so I love the solvent based paints. They hold up really well. They don't chip as easy. That's really why I bought the other booth and put it in the other shop, because I'm going to start spraying all these solvent bases in the other shop and not over here in the shop I have in the house. So like I said, this is a grenade. It's a large square bill crankbait. We put 2 coats of white base coat on it. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take it out of the holder, and I'm going to go ahead and remove this so I have a little bit more room to work with. And we're going to use a Ultimate Craw stencil from lurebill.com. Jimmy has came up with this, and it is a fantastic stencil. I've done some modification to it. Depending on which one you order from him, I think you get sets of 2, maybe sets of 3 on the smaller ones. But they came in like squared off, and the reason I round them off is because when I set them down on the bait, the corners would catch the ground and it wouldn't just sit right. And I also cut out, where the bill is on this, so that my stencil will sit flat onto the bait. If I didn't cut it, it would be sticking up and it wouldn't lay on the bait correctly. And I've just found better success with that. So that's what I've done with it. I should have cleaned this off before I did the video. I just did a video on that. But I'm going to put some carbon black in the gun. And I'm going to get this shook up on my 4E shaker. And I'm going to be using my PS771, my Creos for this. Put about 5 or 6 drops in. And I'm going to shoot this on low pressure, probably about 15. It's going to be very low because I don't like the blast stencils. But the difference on this one is I'm going to be using color shift paint. So on a normal bait, I may not make it as dark, but on this, I kind of want it dark because the color shift reacts a whole lot better to it. So all I do is pretty much just kind of try to line something. You can see where I cut it, it'll fold right up to that bill. I just get it, let me get my sponge. This is another trick I use. It's just a waxing sponge. I'll put it behind the bait just to kind of give it some stability. And then I'll just go ahead and set this up and line it up. And what I usually do is I'll spray the first little bit, take it off, and then realign it back up. So you can do it any way you want. That's just what I found to work out well for me. And then I'll stop and take it off, and you can see it does a pretty good job. And then I'll just realign it up and let it run. And I'll back it up a little bit for that. And then you can kind of just catch it, tie it back in, just get you a thin line. Then face it forward, and then kind of just match it back up. And that's what I do. So then I'll I will darken the eye on that. And this bait's got a deep well eye, so I want to come around it on the outside so it's kind of out. I did that one a little bit high. And I'll do the same thing on this side. I'll just line it up. You just want to get it farther down. That side I did come up a little high on. I don't really care for that. That looks a lot better. And then I'll just line it up and I'll run it all the way up here to the bill. Just on light pressure. That turned out a lot better. So we'll go ahead and darken the eye on this. And I'll explain later on in the video when I start using the color shift why I'm kind of letting the black bleed over. So we'll set this down just for a minute and we'll go ahead and put our stand back in. But that is the ultimate Craw stencil. Comes in multiple sizes, but is an excellent stencil from lurebill.com, Jimmy. So go check him out at lurebill.com and get you one of these. It'll really kind of change the way you paint your crawls. Now what I'm going to do, since this is going to be color shift, I'm going to paint the tippy top of this black, and I'm just going to let it run down. I'm going to do just the middle. I don't want a bunch of it going over the side because I like the white. And that's something I'm going to show you too with the color shift, what that'll do. You can actually get really two different colors from this one. Actually turned out a lot better. I like it coming down lower. This one came up a little bit high, but it'll be all right. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll flip it over. And I use another stencil. Let me find my... I'll actually just use this one. This will actually be fine. This is a stencil from Louisville Stencils. And I'm just going to do a small pattern on the bottom. I've got a bigger pattern on this from Insane Custom Stencils, but I've misplaced my stuff in the shop here. So I'll just run it down. You just line it up in the middle. I'm not going to put a whole lot on this. This one's not really wide enough, so I'm going to have to stretch it out here. Just on low pressure. Just make those ends meet. I'm going to do one more. Get that dry tip off. Come down and connect it. Do the same here. And we'll leave that alone. And then I'll just take some, I'm going to take a stencil from Anarchy, which is called, if I can read it, the stencil's so old. It's a creature feature stencil. And what I like to do with it is I don't usually put a lot down where the shell pattern is. We will today because I think I've kind of dotted it up, but I usually just put a little bit around this. And you can see I've modified this stencil also. I cut some of the plastic off of one end so I can actually get my stencil up on my bait where I want it to be. And what we'll do is we'll just put a little bit on this in the middle because I kind of scuffed it up. We'll just put a little bit in between them. That'll only help with the color shift paints anyway. And then what I'm going to do is I'll take this same stencil since I already got it. I've done this kind of in reverse. I like to put this on the high side and just run it down the bait. You can do it whatever way you want. This is just my thing. I mean, it can be done any way you want to do it. Like I said, the gun that I'm using is a Creos PS771 with a .18 needle in it. It's a detail brush. I need to come up a little higher with this. You can get this gun at spraygunner.com. That's where I purchased them at. I've also got a Micron that I use that I absolutely love. I got a side feed, and it is a little bit different than the normal. A side feed's a lot harder to clean, I found. Now I've went to a real tiny creature feature modeled stencil from Anarchy. And I'll just put a light dusting on it. I don't want it super dark. I want some of it dark, and I'll tell you why. That's about the way I like it. Because when you start using the color shift activates on the black. So that's the key to this. I do all my detail work when I'm going to do a color shift crawl in black. I want to get some on the face here. And then we'll go back down the shell. And the more you practice with the stencils, the better you'll get at it. This is kind of, I wouldn't say this is a beginner's pattern, but it can be done. So you see what we've done. We'll kind of just let that dry just for a second. I want to get a little, I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to get this, I'm going to lock this device down and get a little bit here. I like to have it on the front. Okay, that's better. All right. So we'll move that down, be done with that stencil. And really your hardest part is done. I am going to make this just a tad bit darker. I came too high on this. I would have liked to have came down a little bit lower, and I can actually do that here, but and the reason you may want, you want it just to, I mean, a lot of times I like them very thin lines, but when I'm using the color shift, it's a little different because that's what's, the black is activating that color shift. The darker it is, the better it's going to be. Let me just clean the gun out while that dries. And I've pre-mixed my own color shift with this, so I'll tell you what I've done here. And then you can, if you want to order the stuff for it, or you can buy a different color. There's plenty of places that sell color shift. You've got SMS, you've got Turbo Dork, you've got Green Stuff World. I mean, everybody makes them now. I've just kind of started using something called eye candy powders because I just kind of want to come up with some custom stuff that everybody else is not using. And that is the only reason. It's kind of fun. You can get some really good color shifts from Lure Build. Jimmy's got some great paints. I've got a couple chameleons and some shifting paints from him. They're very nice. It just all depends on what you're trying to accomplish with the color shifts. And it's become very popular. I'm going to grab one over here and I'm going to show it to you while this is drying. Put that up. I don't have the grape jelly when I took it into the shop, the other shop, to do the other video, because I was going to paint in there today, and the storm was so bad I had to move back over. But here's one that I've done, and this is in a lava crawl. Very cool color paints. Really, they do, being indoors doesn't do them justice. It's really when you get them outside and you really see what the sun does with them, it is just super, super crazy in how they turn out. So we're going to take, I'm going to heat set this really fast, so excuse the noise. So you may be wondering why I left so much white on the bait too. And this is where this is going to come into play. When you actually use a color shift paint, you know, it's going to react to whatever color you like. Well, it's going to react best, some of them, to black. Black is going to be the best reaction color for it, but it does react to the white also. So when you see some of these baits, you may be going, man, that's a lot of different color paints. It's really not. It actually is just where, you know, the color shift hits black, white, or whatever color you put on there. It's going to react differently. And that's a good thing, because like I said, it just gives the baits a little bit more depth, and you're definitely going to get some really cool results with it. So what we've done is we've taken some eye candy, Barney purple, and I've taken some eye candy ocean blue, and I've mixed them. And I've mixed them with UVLS, which is, I'll show you a picture of it. It is just high gloss UVLS. I put a little bit of 4011 reducer in with it, stirred it up, and I just let it sit for a few minutes. And it comes out to like a kind of a really cool bluish purple. So when I come back in to paint on this, and I'll do the top first. You can see it actually changing colors. I want to heat set that really fast. I must have had some reducer in the gun, and it came out a little loose. Hang on just one second, I'm sorry. So then we go back on top, and you can see where it's starting to really change color now. But what you can see is the trick to the color shift is you can see on the sides here where I've put the bigger model creature feature stencil, it goes to the grape jelly, but on the white, it changes the color. And that's what gives it the kind of unique look. This is why I paint the eyes. I go outside of the eye socket because I want it to have a lot of the color shift on it. So I'll just hit it, and then I'll go up the shell. And then I'll touch up a little bit on the small model. And as you can see, it just changes the color of everything. You know, anything that's black is going to be the darker grape jelly look. The white is going to turn to more of a lighter color. It gives it more contrast. And then I'll hit these lines. I still want some of the white showing. Then I'll hit the, and that gives it a really unique look. And the more you put on it, well, you can actually see in between the shells here. You really can't see the white now. It's more of a kind of a lighter grape jelly look. And I like that look. It really gives this bait a very unique look. So we'll hit the eye here. We'll go up the shell. Hit a little bit of that. Make sure we're hitting this. And we'll let that dry for a minute. We'll go ahead and heat set it. But I hope that really helps some people understand about the color shift. You know, well, there are some color shifts that just work with white. I mean, I can't think of which one of my Turbo Dorks it is. I've got entirely too much paint, to be honest with you guys. But there's some that just react to the white. But you can actually see here on this video, when you start dabbling in the color shifts, the difference it's going to make on different color schemes. Well, it's no different than me painting. Well, I'll use Dirt Track Brown, for instance. You can put a white base down and spray it over top of it, and you're going to get a different look. I can put gold. I can put black. I can put metallic charcoal. It's, you know, you gotta, in this lure painting, you want to start experimenting and painting with different colors and seeing what different effects you get. That's when you really can change some of the way your lures look, so they're not looking like everybody else's. I don't hide secrets. I really don't. I mean, I'm getting ready to sell again, and it is what it is. I mean, my technique and my style is not going to be yours. That is one funny thing about this hobby, is everybody's style really is different. There's very few that are identical. You know, everybody worries about somebody copying them. There's only so many things you can paint, guys. I mean, crawl, shad, whatever, bluegills, crappie. I mean, some people need to get past it and get off the crying about somebody copying them. Just go on. That's why I mix my own color shifts, because I don't want somebody saying, well, that looks like he copied me. I really don't want to hear that bull crap. I just don't. I don't have time for it. I'm just doing this and having a good time doing it. And I want to share with everybody so they can learn some stuff. But, you know, are you going to try to copy them? Maybe you will. That's fine. But just try some different stuff and be unique to yourself and your lure painting, and just have a good time with it. So what I'm going to do is, this is about dry. We're going to set it down. I'm going to take this back out, and we'll go ahead and hit it with, get the eyes put in, and then we'll put some, I'm gonna go ahead and make some UVLS up to spray over top of it, some high gloss. I do that just locks my paints in. A lot of people want to know what UVLS is. That's all it is. It's a paint protectant. It is a acrylic polyurethane. It's a very good, it's not a finished top coat. It's a good top coat to put over what you've already painted. Then you can go back in and do your epoxy or UV resin, Tamco, whatever the case may be, whatever your preference is on this. And there's, like I said, you don't just have to use this eye candy powder. There's 100 different powders on Amazon. I just happened to run into this, and I bought them and gave it a whirl, and it's just worked for me. Now, the eyes that I'm going to use, these actually came from Carrie at Backwater. These are old eyes that I've had, but they're very bright blue, and they look really cool. And I got to glue these in because these are glass eyes. So I'm just going to take some glue here, get my tweezers out, and be ready to put it in. And I'll just put a dab. It'll come out. Put out probably a little too much. And I'll just take the eye, drop it in, and then I'll just line it up. And I'll let you look at it. It's a really menacing looking bait. That's why I like over putting the black when I do the color shift. It just really makes the eyes pop on the bait. And then when you start turning the top, especially after you put your finished top coat on, it is gonna pop. I haven't fished this yet. I haven't had time. I've been working so much. That's why I haven't been putting out many videos. I kind of had a break today, and I wanted to get a couple in. I got a new booth, and I wanted to share that with some people. And let's get this one locked in, get it where I want it. And it just gives it a really cool look. This grenade, if you don't have any of these, it is a very large square bill, but I'm a square bill fishing guy. I like them. And I really love painting them. But they are very nice. And you can get those from Luis at Alternative, and you can get them at Lure Build from Jimmy. You can get them in both places. Both great guys. But you definitely need to go to Lure Build and get you one of these stencils. These stencils are just, I mean, I've had a lot of fun in the little bit of time I've had in the last month to paint, is making some crawls. That's my favorite thing to paint. And I can't wait to try it on a few other things. And see what I can come up with. So we'll lock that in. We've taken the tape off so I can hit it with a coat of UVLS, just a clear coat top, and I'll let it dry before I put and I'll put that on about 30. And I'll hit the entire bait. And you can see the colors they really just pop just with this alone on it. But it's really all about your creativity and what you want to do, what you want to come up with. Like I said, try to be a little different. There's too many lures out there that look the same. And we definitely got too many people crying about somebody copying something. So we need to get past that and just have some fun. There's only so many things you're going to be able to paint. But just put your twist on it, and I think you'll have a good time. Get in your groups and share. Be willing to share with the other people in the group that may not be on the same skill set as you, and kind of help them get to where they need to be. And it can be a really good hobby. Everybody can still sell. I mean, you're gonna have there's millions of people out there. You'll have your loyal people to you and your base, because like I said, everybody's not going to paint like me. Everybody's not going to paint like you. And that's just the truth. So if you got people on there that are saying otherwise, they don't know what they're talking about. So just have a good time, paint, turn some good looking lures out. And I hope this one helped you. So we'll go back over what we did. Like I said, this is a grenade, large square bill. I got this one from Alternative Lures, Luis. I used a couple of coats of solvent-based House of Color white base coat, let it dry. And like I said, the reason I like it is it just doesn't chip as easy as the water-based paints that I found as I started using these. Then we took some black golden, high flow golden. I like this. It's very airbrush friendly. Shoots through the gun very easy. And we use the Ultimate Craw stencil. This is one of the jumbo ones. Like I said, they come in multiple sizes. This is I think the second to the largest. And what we did was it was squared off. I modified the corners and I set it up on this lure and I cut out where the bill was so that the bottom would lay flat. That's just a tip that I use. And like I said, I rounded the edges, and the reason I do that is when I set it down and I set the stencil down, I don't want the corners catching my, well, in this booth I put paper towels down. The other one I'm going to have like foam board, but I don't want it catching it where I can't just slide it around when I need to get it just right on the bait. So that's a good tip too. Then we took the Craw stencil, we did it in black. Then I made my own color shift with Eye Candy Barney Purple. And I mixed Ocean Blue. And I got this kind of grape jelly look. And remember what I said about the color shift? It's going to be more dominant on a black on this. And then when it hits the white, it kind of makes a lighter version of it. That's where it kind of gave it that, what I call peanut butter and jelly look. So that kind of worked out great. Remember, I oversprayed the eyes because I want the color shift to be more all the way around it instead of just, it served no purpose just to spray the eye socket because the eye is going to cover it up. I used a bright blue eye that I got from Carry at Backwater. I've had these for quite a while. I don't even know if they're still available, but it just worked out great for this bait. And then I just came back over it with some UVLS clear gloss just to seal it in, and I'll let this dry, and then I can either put my lure coat epoxy over this or I can UV resin it, and the bait is done. You know, I hope everybody enjoyed the video. I'm sorry it's been so long, but I am just getting killed at work right now. I've been wanting to come put some out. I'll be doing the next video in the new booth, and I'll show you how the vacuum system works on that. And I've got a new airbrush coming from a brand new company on Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm going to be doing a video on that because it's actually a Galeri. It's got a .38 needle in it, a little bit bigger than what I usually use, but I want to try it with my solvent-based paints. But that may be a very good alternative to an Eclipse for some guys that just like that gun. So that'll be something that will be upcoming here in the next couple of days. So hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell notification. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the support I've been getting, and I hope everybody enjoyed the Color Shift Grape Jelly Crawl. So, like I said, I'll catch you next time. Thanks.